So many people have this fear. How do I not mess up my kids? What would you say to that?
I want to, again, acknowledge the enormity of the task that is being a parent.
Yeah.
How foundational that early relationship is. So when I hear questions like this, I'm so very compassionate to the desires that so many, hopeful desires that so many of us have, especially those of us that look back and affirm we're not going to repeat that which happened to us. Again, going back to the cheeky joke earlier of we're all carrying the habits and patterns that served or allowed those of us before us to adapt.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, that area of building that bridge from insight and awareness into action. Because we could read the greatest parenting book of all time. We could have the script, right, for the thing to say, to break the habit, to stop doing the thing that happened to us so that our children could be not as impacted or not messed up. If this goes back to even that idea that we were talking about in therapeutic relationships, if we don't feel safe and secure, like that home base, that curious home base that our child needs to explore and discover who they are, then those scripts and that parenting book is only going to go so far. So it really is parenting. Anytime we want to shift the dynamic in a relationship, it really begins again with that foundational relationship with ourselves,
With
all
yourself.
of you as the parent. Really becoming aware of the habits and patterns that you've adapted into that have served you at one time. Not just affirming that you want to change it or reading the book on how to change it, embodying the work, because children are so much more impacted, not by what we say, but by what they see us doing, and more so by how they experience us. And to saying that, to also say, children appreciate transparency, vulnerability, humanity, having moments where we acknowledge. I think this is another area where parents, for very well-intentioned reasons, think that they have to hide their struggles behind the door or not let their children see them cry or have an upsetting emotion. Or coming back to their children saying, hey, I want to acknowledge that I screamed and yelled, or, I closed myself off from you emotionally. How healing that would have been if I heard that from my mom. Hey, little Nicole, I know I gave you the silent treatment, though it was nothing about you. I was overwhelmed by how I was feeling, how healing those moments can be.
Is it true we teach our kids to not be able to trust themselves when we hide things, that they come to us and they say, are you okay? And you're like, absolutely, everything's fine, when you just had a full blowout fight. And you teach them slowly but surely their instincts are wrong.
Children are humans, and humans are attuned creatures. They're sensing. I remember so many moments in childhood where I just knew something was up in the family, and nothing was ever spoken about. I don't even know if it was spoken about behind closed doors to each other. I think it was just this individual experience of worry, of concern that was so palpable. And over time, if we don't align the reality or speak the reality to our children, what they will do is begin to distrust their instincts or even disconnect from them entirely. Because if they're feeling one way and being told it's another way, they will believe the parent on whom they're dependent. And they will disbelieve themselves.
So it's such a big call out, because so many people, especially women, are like, I don't even know how to hear my own intuition. How do I hear my gut feeling, my knowing? How do I trust myself? And you look at all these examples of whether it's, little girls learning to kind of make decisions based on consensus versus how they really feel, or all these moments where maybe even well-intentioned parents were trying to protect us, saying everything's okay when we knew it wasn't, or, oh, no, and they're trying to protect us, but it's like one chip away at a time of us learning that how we really feel might be wrong, or it might be off, or maybe we can't trust it. It's a big thing for parents to be aware of, because, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I want to, protect them as long as I can. And, I remember one time Paula and I were having a fight, and I was very conscious of, okay, do I need to have the responsibility of actually listening to him when I really don't want to? Because am I setting an example that I want my kids to feel worthy of being listened to? Like, I'm trying to think of it from that perspective, knowing that they're sponges. And I also want them, though, to, it's a tough conflict as a parent, because you want to say, oh, no, everything's great, because you think you're sparing them. But then they're learning to not trust their knowing. Interesting.
I think another version of this is the very well-intentioned helicopter parent who tries to mitigate or minimize or remove any possible suffering entirely from their child, right? Trying to buffer essentially them. And the byproduct of that is not only is that an unrealistic expectation that child might develop then, that life isn't hard, that there aren't challenges, that there isn't natural stressful experiences or upsetting experiences that we go through. Their bodies, back to this holistic model, won't have the ability to tolerate discomfort, stress, upset. And again, I think a lot of this comes from pain that parents experience themselves, not wanting to pass that pain on or their child to have any version of that experience. And then they build this buffer or try to. They exhaust themselves in doing it. And then the byproduct is that as a child who's not emotionally resilient, can't deal. We want our children to be able to have difficult experiences, to have us as a safe home base to return to, and over time to develop their own ability to either self-regulate through difficulty or their ability to know when they need the support and then to rely on others to help them co-regulate.
You mentioned your mom giving you the silent treatment. A lot of us grew up learning that as a tool or an appropriate response when you're unhappy with something. A lot of us then see it manifest in our friendships or our relationships, or we're really mad at our partner, so we just absolutely won't speak to them, give them the silent treatment. Is the silent treatment a form of abuse?
It was very difficult for me to, in any aspect of my childhood experience, put that label on things. Though I've come to realize that it is a form of emotional abuse, removing, especially in childhood, those emotional connections on which our nervous system is reliant to regulate ourselves, and then leaving us with the overwhelming pain, right? Our brain is lighting up from this disconnected moment, possibly leaving us with whatever the upset is that caused the silent treatment or the disconnection from someone else. Now we're completely, that's what trauma is, right? It's the overwhelm that exists in our bodies when we don't have the support to deal with the emotions that we're experiencing. So allowing, and I will be the first to admit, as painful as it was to having been on the receiving end of that experience, I have the habit at times instinctually to want to give my loved ones a silent treatment. To want to remove myself, be cold emotionally, if not go silent entirely, to disappear for the day and not respond to their text of interest, of worry, of anything. And so I will be the first to admit that we might carry very painful, shameful habits that we were on the receiving end of. And this goes back to my inability to be with my emotional upset, my inability to acknowledge my upset to someone on whose relationship I'm, in desire of having, my inability to have those moments of repair or reconnection after there's natural conflict or upset in a relationship. So I literally become just as overwhelmed as my mom once was, and then I end up doing the same thing.
So silent treatment, because I think it's easy for us to think like, oh, it's a appropriate response where it just doesn't hurt anyone else, but I want them to know I'm mad, whatever it might be, right? But silent treatment is really a reflection of our own inability to express our emotions in a healthy way, and then it can actually create trauma to the person we're giving the silent treatment to, even as an adult, right? To our partner, to our kids. How would you say, Nicole, that, people ghosting each other now or unfollowing their friend on social, is that a similar response as getting the silent treatment?
I think it's similar to the extent that upset happened and the individual who's ghosting, even if it's just as simple as I'm not interested in you and I can't, whether or not there was conflict or upset that happened. A lot of times we'll date someone for a couple times and then we'll ghost them because I don't have the ability to directly acknowledge to you that I don't want to pursue a relationship with you. I think anytime we disconnect to that extent that we're ghosting or removing ourselves from a relationship is born out of a discomfort that person is feeling. And now I think, yes, we have block features. We have all of these ways that we can instantly ghost someone
and not have to express our emotions in a healthy way.
Exactly. Not have to acknowledge it to ourselves sometimes, to that other person, not to have that difficult. And again, I'll be the first to admit I've ghosted people in my past, nothing even dramatic having happened, beginning to develop a relationship with someone, determining that it isn't a relationship I want to pursue, not having the ability or the emotional bandwidth to just acknowledge that directly and respect the person enough to say that. And instead just to vanish from their life and then run away. And then the byproduct of that, not only are we hurtful to the person, are we not giving them our actual reason, so their mind is going to interpret our absence. A lot of times we're left now looking over our shoulder and worry that we don't want to now see the person that we've ghosted, and we're carrying shame to have another experience or run in. So it's not helpful for anyone. Though again, I think it really comes down to we're not equipped, many of us as adults, even to have difficult conversations.
Yes. I think this is going to be a big aha for a lot of people, because I can say in my 5 families, just the 5 I was raised around, this is happening right now. I'll hear stories of someone just completely gave someone the silent treatment or literally hung up on them. This type of behavior, right? And I think that a lot of people don't realize, it's a reflection of your own inability to express your emotions in a healthy way, or even maybe identify what they are, but then the impact that it can have. Like, I think this is a big, and even for the people listening or watching us right now that are doing this in their life, because let's be real, when your partner does whatever for the 10 millionth time, you're like, I don't even want to give you the energy of explaining how mad I am. And you just default to silent treatment. But it's interesting to know the like what happens as the damage that can be caused as a result of that. I think it just seems like a great coping tool for a lot of people, not realizing what it really is.
Yeah, and it is. And I think just to kind of, while the reality for a lot of listeners will be those habits still remain.
Yeah.
Right? We still find ourselves mid-silent treatment. Maybe you're listening to this and you're giving someone a silent treatment right now. What could be the greatest gift is intentionally taking the moment to reconnect, to say and acknowledge what was going on for you. Hey, I was really overwhelmed by what happened. I was really upset or dysregulated by the experience. And I did remove myself from our interaction or our relationship, though it had everything to do with how I was feeling. And I think that can be the most healing, especially if it's our children that we're giving the silent treatment to, or on the other end of that, saying the things that we don't mean, the hurtful things, or doing the hurtful things. Just as equally having the moment on the other side to acknowledge where it came from and relieving that person the responsibility of them being the cause, or their worthiness being the cause.
Jamie Kern Lima is her name.
Everybody needs Jamie Kern Lima in their life.
Jamie Kern Lima.
Jamie, you're so inspiring.
Jamie Kern Lima.